Hi, I'm Norman Steyer from Loudoun Now, and we're here for the Purcellville Candidate Forum. We get a little bit of late start with some technical difficulties, but we're glad you're here. Our goal tonight is to get to know the candidates and talk a little about the issues facing Purcellville, and also to create a record, a recording that can be a resource for voters. Now we finally know when we're going to vote. We're going to vote on June 4th. So we have a little bit more time to hopefully the candidates can get out and go door to door a little bit instead of being in their living rooms or basements. And we can all get to know the candidates better. So we're gonna take about an hour and ask some questions, and we'll get some questions that come in off the Facebook page, and hopefully have a good conversation tonight. We want to start with just introductions, maybe 2 minutes apiece on who you are and how you got to Purcellville and what your primary reasons are for running. It's a big sacrifice that we know, and it's a lot of time if you win. And so tell us what's motivating you. And we're going to go sort of in alphabetic order. Each time we do a question, we'll go in the same order. We'll rotate down so everybody have a turn to go first. And we're going to start at the top with the two mayor candidates, and then we'll go down. So we'll go with Mayor Fraser first, and then Beverly. Just your introductions, about 2 minutes.
All right. Well, thank you, Norm, and welcome to Town of Purcellville. Actually, thank you for welcoming us into your living room this evening. So I've been the mayor for Town of Percival over the past 6 years. I've lived in Percival for 14 years, came from West Orange, New Jersey, and never looked back. It's a great town. Over the past 6 years, I've delivered on what I committed to you folks over 6 years ago. That is addressing your debt. We were able to reduce the debt by $7.6 million. We were able to also obtain over $10.4 million in debt reduction. In addition to that, we are at a financial strength position whereby we were able to retain our AAA credit ratings. We are over $15 million in reserve. And in addition to that, we are exploring new and innovative ways to deal with our debt going forward. Again, thank you for the trust. I look forward to serving you another 2 years if you choose me, and also the candidates I'm running for. And again, we are running on a platform of slow growth, low taxes, innovative solution, and infrastructure improvement. Thank you again, and look forward to your questions.
Okay, and then Beverly, you can go next, and then Christopher will follow.
Chasen, candidate for Mayor of Purcellville. I was fortunate to have been born and raised in this beautiful little town. In 1987, I returned to Purcellville with my family so they could enjoy growing up in Purcellville the same as I did. Shortly after my return, I was motivated to run for council when I learned of several petitions for annexation north of town. These annexations would have added over 2,500 homes to our small community and disrupted our downtown businesses. We stopped those annexations. I was privileged to serve 3 terms on council from 1992 to 2004. A majority of this time, I chaired the Finance Committee. I'm very proud of the many accomplishments during my term on council. We hired Rob Loers, our town manager. Aging water pipes were replaced throughout the town, eliminating the tea-color water we all once had. We ensured both our finances and our town reservoir were structurally sound. Our council downzoned Main Street from apartment zoning to duplex zoning. We obtained the right-of-way and construction of 95% of the Southern Collector Road. This road was first planned in 1980 as more and more traffic was flowing onto Purcellville's Main Street from south of town. And during my time on and off council, I served on the board of directors for the Purcellville Business Association, the Purcellville Volunteer Rescue Squad, and the Purcellville Babe Ruth World Series. Through these opportunities, I gained a better understanding of how important each of these organizations are to our town. I'm running for mayor to bring a positive, and effective leadership back to our Percival. And thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Christopher, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Christopher Berteau. I want to give my thanks to my fellow candidates for coming to tonight's online forum, and a special thank you to Loudoun Now for hosting this forum in the midst of our current struggles with COVID-19. I've lived in Percival with my family for more than 15 years. Before that, I lived in Herndon, and before that, Georgia. I've worked locally in IT and telecommunications for more than 20 years. This is my first run for local office, though I was elected to and have served on the board of my HOA for the last 5 years. In addition to serving on the HOA board, I've also been an adult leader with our local scout organizations and have served on Percival's citizen-led Economic Development Advisory Committee. I'm running for town council together with Mayor Kwesi Fraser, Stan Milan, and Mary Jane Williams because together we're committed to slow growth, low taxes, innovative solutions, and infrastructure improvement. We are the team that will provide the leadership needed to find solutions that rely on driving innovation guided by citizen input. Our team will provide real leadership by providing a voice for the residents of Percival and the hardworking volunteers who participate in our town committees when weighing the conflicting alternatives presented by town staff and paid consultants. We want to build on past successes to better drive solutions for our residents with the help of our town staff. Percival is a wonderful small town whose character and charm drew so many of us to live here. I look forward to serving on Percival's town council and helping to solve our current problems with debt and aging infrastructure. Remember to vote by June 4th absentee if possible, and at the skating rink if you plan to vote in person. Thank you.
Okay, next up is Mary Lynn, followed by Stanley.
Lynn Hickey, running for town council. And I wanted to start also by thanking Patrick and his colleagues at Loudoun Now for hosting this evening's debate. This nonpartisan opportunity with the rest of the candidates is long awaited for me, and I'm really glad to be here. A little bit about me and why I'm running. I moved out to Purcellville back in 2013 from the City of Falls Church, where I raised my family, right after my youngest son went off to college. I took quite a bit of time to decide exactly where I wanted to settle permanently before moving to the Mayfair community in 2017. 2017 was also the year when the troubling headlines started coming out of town hall, and I started paying closer attention to what was going on. In 2018, I started attending town council meetings regularly, and my goal was really just to learn as much as I could about the major issues the town is currently dealing with and what the short and long-term challenges that lie ahead are. A couple of years later, I feel like I have a much more informed understanding of where we are and where we're headed. In my daytime life, I have spent the last 20 years working in the nonprofit management arena and have worked for the News Literacy Project, an education nonprofit, since 2011. As the Vice President for Administration, I manage organizational operations from human resources to finance, including contract bidding and review, along with annual budget preparation and oversight. And all of this experience has prepared me well for the scope of activity our town council regularly addresses. I'm running because I really love this town. I want to be of service, and as does virtually every citizen I've talked to, I want to see Percival succeed and prosper. Thanks.
Thank you. Stanley and then Aaron.
Hello, Percival. Thank you for inviting me into your home for this forum. I'd like to thank the other. Hello, Percival. Thank you for allowing me to enter your home for this forum and my fellow candidates for attending. I appreciate this opportunity to serve Percival. I've lived in the town of Percival for the past 10 years. I'm a retired Navy submariner, a missile technician. I've worked in the intelligence community for the past 20 years. I was a reserve deputy sheriff for Washington State and also a reserve deputy sheriff for Fairfax County. I'm bringing the skills of diversity and openness, what I've learned while in the military and also as a police officer, dealing with difficult situations and tense operations. I love the small town community. That's why I'm running for town council. I would like to maintain that feel. As we sit in our homes during this COVID-19 crisis, we can get the opportunity to feel the presence of a small town. As you walk through the community, you get to see your neighbors that you may not have seen because of your hustle bustle going to and from work. We have the opportunity to see and hear what a small town sounds like. It's extremely quiet. And I want to maintain that through our innovative solutions, lower our taxes, improving our infrastructure, and innovative solutions. We, as a team of Mayor Kwesi, if you reelect him, which I hope you do, Chris Bartow, Mary Jane Williams, and myself, we work as a team of leaders and innovators. We come with a plan and ideas to improve our tax structure and our debt. I understand that it's been several years that the wastewater and treatment plant has been in operation, and we want to maintain that. I look for your vote on June 4th. Thank you, and I'm looking forward to your questions.
Okay, thank you, Aaron, and then Mary Jane.
Hi, I'm Erin Rayner and I'm running for town council. I really appreciate Loudoun Now hosting this forum for us. It's really great to get our voices out there. Just a little about me. I was born in Canada, and when I was 10, we moved to Anchorage, Alaska, where I spent the majority of my youth and went to college there. And I just became enamored with American culture and American ideals and how you stood for the national anthem every morning. And I just absolutely loved everything about getting involved in our community. And I've spent the majority of my life working in the community. And it was that led when I was 18 to beg my parents to become American citizens so I could vote, because I just knew that voting was a way to get my voice heard and really, truly get involved in civics and in our community. And in college, that's why I became even more active in student government. I was president of the College Republicans, and I ran voter drives, and I just became incredibly active and aware of what was going on in our community and wanted to make it better. So I encouraged everybody, no matter what political side you were on, to get involved and be aware of what was going on. And that's what inspired me to do my master's and PhD work in international relations and government and policy, because that's what I truly felt was my passion, was giving back and working in our community. I served when I lived in England on a town council, similar sort of like an HOA over there, in a student government, a community student or school government, because I just wanted to make sure that I was giving back and working with the community. When I came back from living over there, I was in the private sector, but still worked in our community. But then I had the privilege of working for our former Congresswoman and as her community outreach director, which allowed me to be in the community, helping the people of Loudoun and working with a lot of our nonprofits. And now I'm vice president of the Percival Business Association. I sit on a board of a local nonprofit, Virginia Regional Transport, and I also am PTA member. And I'm running because I want to help Percival and be more involved with Percival.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for being here and stuff. And looking at the procedure. Oh, Mary Jane, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Good evening. And once again, thank you for inviting the 7 candidates into your living room. My name is Mary Jane Williams, and I've lived in Percival since September 2002 with my husband and my son. I've seen and been impacted by the growth of this small town. My son is a 2017 graduate of Valley, and currently I am a teacher at Valley. So I have ties to the small town and love the community feel. Tonight, while preparing for this, I received a compliment from Stan, which made me think about why I wanted to run for town council. As a teacher, I believe in putting your best foot forward and being upfront and honest with your audience. Thus, tonight, the 4 of us, Chris, Stan, Kwesi, and myself, stand united and will share our vision for Purcellville with you. We have worked together as a team since I joined the slate in early March, right before the shutdown. Thus, I've been self-reliant in learning the issues and funding the election. As a team, we believe in a comprehensive set of values revolving around four main issues. Slow growth. We're not stating no growth, we're saying slow growth and mainly economic growth without impacting the geographical footprint of Purcellville. Innovative solutions to help us with this economic growth. During our meetings, the ideas are flowing, but we know we need to set down concrete steps and a foundation and work with both the residents and the town staff to make our visions a reality. Low taxes, again, not no taxes, but leave taxes where they are unless an emergency forces to increase them for a specific purpose or time period. And four, working on maintaining or improving our infrastructure. Our water, our roads, we need to make them less congested. Our team pledges to listen to the voters, work with the voters and town staff to find meaningful and long-lasting solutions to issues facing the town. Thank you for your time, and please pay close attention to all the comments and all the candidates tonight.
Thank you. Sorry about that. And thinking about this, I think we'll rotate the two, as we rotate the questions, we'll rotate the two mayoral candidates together and then the council candidates after that. So this first question, we'll start with Bev and then go to Mayor Fraser. And then we'll start with Mary Lynn after that. So off the top, we probably need to talk about the past before we can start digging into the issues facing the town in the future. And unfortunately, a lot of the council's work in recent years has been centered on controversies that began with the departure of the town manager, the suspension of the police chief, the firing of the town manager, a data breach, investigations, lawsuits. And so the question is, how do you assess the council performance in dealing with these issues? And is there anything you would have done differently based on what you know? And that starts with Bev.
Had several conversations with Mayor Fraser as we stood in front of town hall walking the dog. And I told him 3 or 4 times, I'm hearing things, I don't like it. And please do not let Rob Lohr leave this town, because I knew once he did, our safeguards were gone. And shortly, I think it was like 3 or 4 weeks after he left, the police investigation started, followed by Fireman's Field, and it went on and on. So that's the first thing I would not have done, is let our town manager leave. He had been here for 24 years. He knew what worked and what didn't work. And he provided that input to the town council and let us make the decisions. So that's, I think that's where we went wrong. It has broken my heart to see how much money, millions of dollars, have been wasted. It could have been town taxes being reduced.
Okay, Kwesi?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. As you all know, there's no organization without risk. And risk comes in different formats and different ways. And we did experience several risks over the past 3 years. But in spite of that, we were able to look forward. When we understood that an investigation that occurred was potentially flawed, we took steps immediately to hire the best in class experts in this field. And they were able to get to the bottom of the investigation, and they were able to provide the truth to the public. We were then able to provide the cost of that investigation to everyone so they can see it transparently. But we did not just look in the back and have the back hold us down. We were able to focus forward, and we continue to thrive and focus forward. Over the past 3 years, we were able to significantly lower our debt, and we are now on strong financial footing and positive foot going forward. Sorry.
You're fine, thank you. Okay, Mary Lynn, followed by Stanley.
As far as the things that started happening in 2017, I would really say the important line of demarcation was the departure of Rob Lohr. We can argue, I mean, the official explanation is that he retired, but the more informed understanding, and certainly as an HR professional, just looking at the fact pattern, it does appear he was forced out. And once he was gone, as Bev said, a lot of the safeguards that kept the council in their lane and the staff in their lane and decisions being made on the right side of right just fell to the wayside, and we had chaos, very expensive chaos. 3 lawsuits settled, 1 still outstanding, over $1 million in expenses that are booked that we're aware of, that the meter's still ticking on all of this. And it really is probably one of the saddest chapters of Purcellville's history, and frankly was exactly the series of incidents that first caught my attention. You really couldn't look away, and wanted to learn more about what happened and why, and how we could move forward and make sure nothing like that would ever happen again in this town.
Okay, Stanley, and then Aaron.
Yes, it's great to go down memory lane, but that happened 3 years ago. If you keep looking backwards, you can't see forward and you don't know where you're going. I appreciate everyone's concern about 3 year ago history, but we need to look at what's happening now. That's why they call it the past. We're living in the present, so we should deal with what's happening now and prepare for the future, which we do not know. With our team of innovative solution thinkers, infrastructure improvement, maintaining a small town feel, and listening to our citizens on what direction they want us to go, that's where I'm focused. I appreciate, everyone's concerned about what happened. Let's look at what's going to happen. What can we prepare for in the future and maintain a goal looking forward? We cannot keep looking backwards over things that have been settled, that have been done. Thank you.
Okay, Aaron, and then Mary Jane.
Coming into this town and at the right time when all this was happening, it really made me sad, because the reason my husband and I moved our girls to this town was because it was the quintessential middle America town. It had the water tower, the parades, and everything we loved. And it broke my heart that we made national news because of the scandal. And it cost a lot of taxpayer money. And as a fiscal conservative person, I didn't like seeing the wasted money and the scandal that we went through. So yes, I agree. We need to move forward and look to the future. However, we got to learn from what happened. We lost an amazing award-winning town manager, and we need to move forward. We have a good new town manager. I like him. He's great. And we need to work hard to move our town forward.
Okay, Mary Jane.
And actually, I'm going to give it to Chris first, because he was actually supposed to start.
Well, we're rotating, so we're rotating, so he went first in the introductions.
Oh, okay.
So then everybody goes in the line.
And I agree with Erin on her point that we need to learn from our past mistakes. As a teacher, and mainly in the social sciences, we do study the past and the idea of building. So yes, we probably do need to research in what mistakes, if any, were made, and how do we not have them again. But as Stan also said, it is the past. We need to look towards the future. And how can we keep our town family friendly and build on what we have?
Okay, Christopher.
Okay, thank you. I too prefer not to dwell on the past. If I were to do anything differently, it would be to have a town council that was not only united in their opinions, but also united in greater oversight of the town manager, which is how we got to this mess in the first place. Because under the town charter, only the town manager can hire and fire. Therefore, the initial investigator, who was obviously the wrong person for the job, was hired by the interim town manager. All 7 members of the town council voted to place Alex Venegas in as interim town manager. All 7 voted no confidence in the police chief, and all 7 voted to start a new investigation when the true facts came to light. So I would look for a different way of leading on the part of the town council to make sure that the town manager is really acting in the interests of the citizens.
Okay, thank you. Go to the next question. But we can look ahead now a little bit. And one of the most challenging, and we'll start with the mayor and on this one. One of the most challenging issues facing the next town council will be developing a rate structure that can support the town's utility operations. It's always one of the most important and costly services any of our towns provide. And the council's been working with some consultants who say that, some high rate increases are needed and more increases are needed every year, for over a decade. And I don't think any decisions have been made about what approach it's going to take. But if you're elected, what will your approach be to returning the utility operations to to fiscal sustainability?
Okay, we want to go beyond fiscal stability. We want to prosper. So I will continue with the vision of looking at the $125 million of assets that's owned by this town that we've been blessed with, to understand how we can extract value from that so we don't have to depend on the taxpayer and the ratepayers. We just talked about the past. I'm going to go way back in the past to 1747, when Benjamin Franklin was charged with protecting Philadelphia. He did not go to the taxpayers to raise rates to do that. He used his creativity and ingenuity to put in place a lottery system. And that lottery system was able to purchase a cannon to protect Philadelphia. So coming back from our founding father, I think we need to look at the assets that we have, which is over $125 million. That is stuff that we've been blessed with. We must be able to find ways to be able to monetize that, and we have begun that process.
Okay, Bev, followed by Stanley.
I agree with the mayor on using our current assets to benefit the taxpayer. There may not be a necessary need to increase the taxes. Like the mayor stated, we have $125 million in assets. I was looking at Aberdeen, and during our discussions, we discussed Aberdeen, the land, 189 acres. There's discussions on turning that into an equestrian center or some other type of center. We have a building there that has 4 rooms or large rooms that could be renovated and used for a wedding venue, which could generate revenue. We have assets with the towers for the cell phones that can bring in an additional money to the town and not burden the taxpayers on increasing their taxes. Like Mary Jane stated earlier, if there was need for increase the taxes, it would be the last resort. And if we were to increase the taxes, it would be for a certain period of time, not for an ongoing expense that would burden the town for years to come. It could be for 3 years, 4 years, depending on the circumstances and what the needs of the town as dictated by the townspeople. So thank you.
Let's go back to you. I think you were muted before and didn't hear you.
Me? Okay. When I think of, I've had the chance to attend most of the council meetings over the last 3 years and listened to every budget. Not one monetization project has come up that would make even a small dent in the rates that our consultants, and these are consultants that we pay greatly for, have said we have needed over and over again over the last 3 years. I think the last one said in about 3 years, we are going to be out of reserves, which we have depended upon to keep our operating cost without having gigantic rate increases over the last 3 years. Those reserves are going to be gone. When I think of monetization, I think of Fireman's Field. We knew going into Fireman's Field that the revenue that the county received was just peanuts compared to what it was costing them to maintain. And so that was a failure. I would love to look at anything that would help, but I think at this point in time, I'm going with the consultants.
Okay, Aaron, followed by Mary Jane.
Listen, I don't want my water rates to go up. They're already very expensive, and to double them is just like, it's astronomical to me. I mean, I have a family of 4, I have kids in daycare. Nobody wants their rates to go up. But like the consultants say, we're going to be out of money in a few years. Our reserves are depleting. But I also would love to look for a solution that would keep our rates low. But we have to do something now, because in a few years, it's going to be broke. So I really think we need to focus on what's in our town, and what we can do is look at our commercial base. We need to look at economic development and really bolster that and up our commercial base. That will help out with our water and sewer rates.
Mary Jane, followed by Christopher.
Thank you. I agree that we need to boost economic growth. So shop the small businesses. That will bring in tax revenue. And if you're shopping, you might eat at a local restaurant, which will bring in more meals tax to us. But also look at our wastewater treatment plant. Chris has come up with some great ideas, like the washing of the school buses. Use that with the wastewater, have the county have a contract with us. If you add all the small together, we may get larger, but we have to focus on what we can do and not just dream big. We have to look at what we have. And unfortunately, we're going to have to make up for the lost meals tax now. So that's just another hurdle for us to have to jump over.
Christopher?
Okay, thank you. Quick correction, the rate structure actually supports 3 things. It supports utility operations, it supports delivery of water and sewer, and it supports capital improvement. Oh, excuse me, several things. An additional thing being, of course, the debt, mainly from the water treatment plant. When we talk about monetization, we're not talking about one project, and that's the way it always gets presented by our opposition in this race. We're talking about finding multiple opportunities. For example, the nutrient credits that we can get and still are pursuing for the Aberdeen property would amount to $700,000 to $1 million, and that will make a big dent indeed in the next balloon payment that is due on the debt. It is likely we will need to raise the water rates. What we are trying to do is to mitigate this and make it less painful for our citizens by pursuing innovative alternatives. Thank you.
All right, we have a couple questions come in on Facebook related to.
I didn't get a chance to answer that question.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Mary Lynn, you're up next.
So as far as the water sewer rates, this has been an issue that I've followed very closely. And again, we have paid Davenport. They did at least one, and then Stantec made 2 presentations that I was present for. And all of them are basically saying the same thing, which is I wish that we'd had this conversation long ago before we reached this point. But there has been a pattern of, depending on the reserves, and more recently, the tap fees from the community that Aaron and I live in at 50,000 a property, to cover that spread, rather than addressing this very difficult question about how we are going to make sure that our utility, water sewer utility, stays solvent. The consultants have told us we need at least 4% a year just for operating and maintenance. Never mind the big balloon payment that's due in a couple years, or the other cost categories that Chris referenced. You've heard a lot about monetization as a tool to accomplish this and to close the revenue gap. And I do not object to the idea and concept, but virtually every attempt in practice, and we recently FOIA'd all of the monetization efforts to date and had it asked for a full accounting of costs, including staff time and expenses and projected yield or actual yield in the case of Fireman's Field. And, at best, the results have been disappointing, and at worst, there have been an outright failure. Again,
Okay, we're gonna have to stick to our closer to the time to be fair to everybody. So, a couple Facebook questions that deal with something going on today, and it basically the impact of the shutdown on the town's businesses. The town council's taken some steps now just to help out with some coupons and delay some collections. What else can the town do? What would you do as a council member to help the businesses bounce back? And what is the impact, the long-term impact or the budgetary impact of the meals tax losses that we're going to see? And that goes first to Bev.
A year on meals tax. So we are heavily dependent upon the business community, the restaurants, to support and keep the rest of the residential tax lowered. I became a real fan of the Percival Business Association and the businesses when I was on council initially. I really didn't understand what an important part they play in Percival. So I think keeping events going, the cannons, having the music and arts festival, and keeping, and maybe, you know, the downtown events, more of those to invite more and more people in to shop and eat Percival is one of the things I would strongly recommend. We need to keep those businesses going. We can't afford to lose one.
Crazy?
Yes. Before I get started with my answer, I thank the business and our community for coming hand in hand with us to support us in this battle against COVID-19. Today, I spoke to Magnolia's and also Manhattan Pizza. Manhattan Pizza was able to serve over 30 families today, just in terms of this crisis. And that's a business that is losing money, but still willing to serve and get us on good economic footing. Going forward, we need to, as legislators, continue to knock on the doors to see how we can get money back into Percival to build up our economy. That's the best thing we can do for our small businesses. As individuals, as we reopen the doors, we'd like you to come out, skip that meal at cooking, but just come out and sit at our restaurants once we open the door and be able to provide for them. Because again, we depend on that $2.2 million in meals tax. So again, it'll be a collective opportunity for us to get us back to work and get our economy going. Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron, followed by Mary Jane.
I am so proud of the resilience of Percival and how we've all come out to support our local businesses, going to the restaurants, Percival Pub, Velocity Wings, Magnolia's, at Monk's. We've all contributed and try to keep them alive, but that's important to move forward after the quarantine is over, is to continue supporting these businesses who took a big loss. And like Beth says, together with the Percival Business Association and EDAC and the events committee in Percival, get events going, support them, really come out there and bolster economic development and the events and these and really support these businesses and keep them going, because they are the lifeline for this town.
Mary Jane, then Christopher.
Thank you. I think this is one thing we all agree on. We've got to keep these small businesses and restaurants afloat in Percival. So some of the things that I've thought of is a Shop Small Business Expo. What do we have? What are our home-based businesses? You know, how do we get that out to people so they know what's going on? A taste of Percival at the Bush Tabernacle. What do the restaurants offer? An employment fair. There are a lot of things we can build on besides the music festival, the wine festival, the cannons, you know, make it so people, and also maybe set up partnerships with the local wineries. You go to a winery for tasting, we'll have coupons or discounts at local restaurants. How can we build on that relationship with them? But this is one thing we all agree on. Shop Percival, eat Percival, stay in Percival.
Christopher, and then Mary Lynn.
Okay, thank you. I have to agree. We do all agree on this. Get out there and shop Percival. They definitely want your business. One of the things that I was working on in EDAC before we went into shutdown was Second Saturday, which is another event that would get people out on the streets and out patronizing the businesses, especially those that are either normally open at night or are opening up specially for this event. I encourage everyone to check out the local hardware store. They've much improved their game recently. And we also need to reach out more to the small businesses, perhaps with a small business expo and perhaps in some other way, but we need to reach out and get people connected with them, because the majority of the businesses we have in this town, and we have great business formation here, more than 80 a year in the last 2 years, have been small businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Lynn and Stanley.
Here. I am completely in support of the short-term efforts that the town council voted to enact, including the 2-month repeal on the meals tax and the very kind concessions, not concessions, but if someone can't pay their water bill, they're not going to have their service shut off. Things like that really just address the very immediate and severe consequences of COVID-19 and its impact on our business community. I do think we can support our existing businesses as well as new businesses while maintaining slow growth. I would like to just fill a lot of the empty storefronts we currently have. And I would like to say that personally, I am doing my share. Along with all my neighbors here in Purcellville, we want a pig roast. So just shout out for Mayfair there. And I appreciate all those, again, but over the long term, I'd like to see more proactive partnership between new and existing businesses and EDAC for ways that they can support them. As I remember the kinds of really robust programs we had in City of Falls Church, and also with the PBA, to give them the support that they need to get up and running and to stay. Because one issue that no one's addressed is the retention rate of small businesses in our town, COVID-19 notwithstanding. So this is a problem that has a lot of moving parts that are worthy of our attention and support.
Okay, Stanley.
Yes, thank you. I agree with my fellow candidates that we do need to support the businesses in Percival, but sometimes it depends on the business's business model. The businesses that are still thriving and are not hurt too badly are those that have to drive up and take out. I feel for those businesses that do have to come in and sit down menus for the restaurants, but as I walk through the community, I still see businesses still open and working. We may not be having the influx of visitors to town as we previously had, and once the restrictions on congregation is lifted, we can promote a more aggressive opportunities to bring more people into town. As other states have relaxed their attentions or the restrictions, hopefully Virginia will soon follow suit, since Purcellville is sort of an isolated community, and we do not have the problems of large cities since we are a small town. Thank you.
Thank you. I think a topic that's come up a couple of times tonight is the Aberdeen property. It's 189 acres up there north of town. Lots of uses have been talked about, from steeple chasing to nutrient credits to bow hunting. In your mind, what's the proper use of that? And we start with the mayor.
Yes, I would say all of the above. And again, what we have to keep in mind is the $1.3 million in 2023. Candidate Icky stated that all of these monetization efforts come at a cost. And she indicated that she did a FOIA. So I'm assuming she has that cost in mind, because from my perspective, the majority of the cost was done by town council, because they're in the define, measure, and the analyze state. Not all of these efforts are failures. Some of them have not even been given an opportunity to get started. In addition, Candidate Chiason indicated to leave these things up to the consultant. Those were our exact words. Well, the consultants do not live in Purcellville. We live in Purcellville. We know our assets. Let's look at ways to monetize the $125 million worth in asset. And Aberdeen would cost us $2 million. So we have a portfolio of potential solutions. Let's look at all of them and not come to rash judgment that they are failures without even going through the process of defining, measuring, and analyzing them.
Bev?
The Aberdeen property was built for water. And last year, our consultants told us we're about 100,000 gallons per day short in water. So our first focus would be on the Aberdeen property is for water resources, first and foremost. We have spent a lot of money with looking at options at the Aberdeen property. $5,000 in just looking for hemp, whether that's a possibility. And that's just purely staff time. That's just one. We spent $24,000 for a consultant study on nutrient credits to find out the state will not allow the government to benefit off nutrient credits. Now, we may be able to lease it to a third party that may be able to benefit from it. That's an option. But I think our focus first and foremost needs to be on our water supply, which we have been told we need.
All right, on the council, we'll start with Mary Jane and then Christopher.
I agree that we do need to find more water, and I know that there have been studies for it. But Mayor Fraser had brought up there's a federal style building on the Aberdeen property, and we had discussed, work with a historic society, revamp it, make it a, Stanley brought up earlier, wedding venue. That's one small way to bring in revenue and use the Aberdeen property along with the equestrian trails that have been proposed before town council. So there's multiple things we could look at. We just have to figure out the right fix or feel for Percival.
Christopher and then Mary Lynn.
Okay, thank you. I'd like everyone to understand that the town council is also getting a lot of input on monetization ideas for Aberdeen from the EDAC committee. So quite a number of options have come from there. I'd like us also to realize that, yes, the property was originally bought for water. It in fact has capped wells on it. It's not needed in the near term. And in the near term, there are additional wells coming online within the next year. There are two of them that are in the capital improvement plan that happen to be situated on land near the KFC. In order to fully realize the potential for Aberdeen for water, we'll have to connect piping to it. Also, the nutrient credits would come to the town as a pass-through from the lessee. So the money would come to us one way or another. Thank you.
Okay. Mary Lynn and Stanley.
I may misunderstand this, but I know that we could make money off nutrient credits over at Aberdeen, but only from what we would charge in lease fees, that we couldn't actually profit. You talk about passing them through, but I don't think they could pass through 700,000 in lease fees. And of course, they'll be taking a cut. As far as the larger picture about Aberdeen, we do need to make sure that that property remains intact for its primary purpose, which is water, which Chris has detailed very well. And beyond that, if we monetize it for anything, we need to take great care that any of those other diversified opportunities on that property do not compromise the primary purpose of it or access to the water supply that is there for us. Again, love to hear more about the monetization opportunities. I wish they came close to the 3.5 million we need for that balloon payment on the water sewer in a couple of years.
Stanley, then Aaron.
Yes, thank you. As the mayor stated, Aberdeen was originally purchased for water. And as Chris stated, that we have RFPs out now for the two potential water wells across from KFC. The monetization of Aberdeen would be one aspect of bringing revenue to offset that 3.5 million. million balloon payment that I've been hearing. The 189 acres is quite a bit of land. We have already stated that there's water wells that have been capped. Where the water wells have been capped, it would be obvious not to use that for monetization. It would be strictly for water consumption for the town. Other areas can be set aside for monetization. Like I stated before, we could use the building there for several kinds of venues. People mention about bow hunting. It could be a hunting lodge. It could be a wedding venue. It could be a equestrian center. It could be anything that the townspeople feel that's relevant to their purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. A question we had and the question that's come through on Facebook is about the issues that was raised toward the end of the year when,
Norman,
yeah,
I didn't get a chance to go.
where'd you go? Go ahead.
I'll make it quick. Like everyone else said, the property was originally bought as a water source for the town that we will need. And yes, other wells are going to come online too, but we need to make sure it stays intact for when we do need the water for the town. Yes, I would love to see it be used and monetized through other ways, having the equine industry use it as a pass-through, but that's not going to touch truly the balloon payment, which is not really a balloon payment because it's going to be every year we're going to need that money to pay our debt. So we need to look at a bigger picture of how much money we actually do need for our water and sewer debt. And yes, it would be great to have another additional source of income, but I just don't think the Aberdeen property is going to provide that for what we need.
Okay, thank you. Toward the end of the year, it came to light, or concerns were raised about the lack of diversity on the town's workforce. 90 employees and mostly white. I guess, were you surprised to learn that? Should the town be doing something more to be more aggressively to diversify its workforce? What are your views on that? And we start with Bev.
I think anything that we can do to diversify our workforce. I mean, we have a diverse population all, in Percival and all around us. So whether it's reaching out to additional resources that for advertise for job, we compete with Fairfax, we compete with DC now that we have the Greenway and buses and things like that. So, it may be hard to attract and keep people out here, as we've experienced with our utility plants and some other of the people in town. But I certainly would be all in favor of doing whatever we can to attract a diverse population for our workforce. Absolutely.
Yes, good question, Norm. When that issue for us arose, we did receive commitment from David McCarskey, our town manager, to look at it in detail to see how we can go forward in diversifying our staff. Yes, there is a need to do as such because talent comes in all shapes and forms and color. So David is committed now to be able to, in their interviewing process and recruiting process, to see how best to diversify the workforce with the best in class talent.
Christopher?
Yes, I agree. We need to carefully examine workforce composition, both with respect to diversity and also bring in talent from wherever we can. I think this can be done in a variety of ways. It can be done through committee work. It can be done through some dedicated time on the part of the town HR staff, but I think that there's definitely additional outreach that's needed.
Mary Lynn?
This is a topic that is near and dear to my heart. My nonprofit has a workforce that is nearly half diverse by the various definitions. The one most folks are familiar with are racial diversity, but there are many different kinds of diversity that make up a truly diverse workforce, including age, including things like sexual orientation, the gender breakdown of your staff. So there's a lot of military status. There's a lot of ways to define it, but beyond that, I can tell you what we've done successfully in my nonprofit to achieve that kind of a standard. First of all, we had a sincere commitment to making it happen. And when you start from that place, you really, in every hire that we've had, and my nonprofit has grown from 8 employees just a few years ago to 24, it starts with where you even advertise to solicit a truly diverse candidate pool. It is a very proactive process and not nearly as hard or cumbersome as folks may perceive it to be. And I am here to speak to the fact that it can be very successful, but it has to be a really dedicated commitment to making it happen and real.
Okay, Stanley.
Yes, diversity is the backbone of America. We're the melting pot of the world. And it's needed to bring in fresh new ideas. I understand that it's been brought to the attention of the town manager. And once I'm elected as a town council member, I would help them improve that diversity to help define what is needed based on the skill sets that we have or don't have. There's a skill gap for everyone. And the skill gap that they may lack may be fulfilled by someone of a diverse background. We need to pursue that definitely for Percival.
Okay. Erin?
Hi, this is another issue that I was really upset when I heard that, which I see that it's really important and there needs to be a lot more outreach. I was very happy to see that the town manager is going to take proactive steps to have better outreach, get more job offers out there. I mean, I run a nonprofit for women in leadership, and one of our backbones of our program is to make sure that we women from all backgrounds have the opportunities in industry that men have. But this goes for all types of minorities and backgrounds, military, just like Mary Lynn said, age. So it's very important to me that Percival does do the appropriate outreach and make sure we become more of a diverse workforce.
Mary Jane?
Okay. So as a teacher at Valley, I understand the non-diverse workforce, because if you were to look at the staff and the school population, but I'm glad that the mayor and the town manager are actually doing a recruitment, and this is top concern for them. But maybe they need to work with the county and figure out how they're going about their recruitment of getting people in. And as Mary Lynn said, you got to look at the age. You got to look at the gender. It's not just race, but we also have to make the town enticing to these minority populations that they actually want to work here. So it's not just saying we have a certain percentage on our workforce. We want them to work here and we want them to live here with us.
Very good. I think we'll do one more and then we'll close and wrap up. It's been a long night for everybody, for you all. In Purcellville, the small town feel is why everybody is here. How do we preserve it? How do we protect it? The town's been working on a new comprehensive plan, a new town plan coming up. It's coming up very soon. A lot of work's been done on it so far. How are those policies going to protect the plan? Is the plan in good shape? What will you do to help preserve Purcellville's small town feel? Let me start with the mayor.
Yeah, say no to annexation. You've heard from our opponent tonight that the Aberdeen property will not sufficiently address the 1.3 million. Actually, Mary Lynn Ickey said 3.5 million. It's actually 1.3 million in sewer and 125,000 in water. So you're off by 2 million. But what I would say is no annexation, focus on the $125 million in asset that we have been blessed with, and find ways to extract value from that. And it might be so down the line, we might be able to refinance or restructure again, because last month we were able to shave off $2 million off of our debt. So to get to the small town feel, we need to be fiscally responsible. use the assets that we've been blessed with to extract value for economic gain and prosperity to the town of Purcellville. Without money, we cannot get that small town feel, and we cannot do it by raising taxes and annexation, although my opponents will not say it, but I think that's where they're headed.
Beth?
I'll say it. There is no annexation in the pipeline. I showed a map of Purcellville just recently. There is very little land around the town of Purcellville that would even be suitable for annexation. So I'm not aware of anyone that is proposing it. So Mayor, there you go. Also, the 3.5 million is inaccurate. It's from the town manager. It was in the March 24th meeting that he said we need 3.5 or $3.6 million annually, and that the no monetization project is going to come close to it. The comprehensive plan is a plan that we worked on for about 5 years. There's about 3 or 4 properties left in town that is vacant, that we would have an opportunity to decide what do we need for the rest of our time in Purcellville. I know we're literally outgrowing the library. Is there a space for that? People want a hotel. We need to attract and look at every opportunity we have on that land.
Mary Lynn?
Yeah, again, I think this issue gets sort of conflated with development, and then the sort of conclusion is a little confusing. As Bev said, there are not many opportunities. Warner Brook's off the table. That's in the county now. And I'm looking, Bev, that was a great homemade map you made with all the I think it was maroon color. None of it. There is no annexation. And so to sort of keep throwing that word out there as an emotionally charged buzzword to get people upset and box me and Bev and Aaron as the pro-development, pro-growth people. There are 5 parcels in town that the comp plan was looking at and deciding on zoning. There's a Hurst Road and O'Toole property. There's just not a lot left for us to be having a debate about this around. But I would like to see that process brought to a conclusion because it's been 5 years. And I also would like there to be an opportunity for public comment before the town council does officially vote on the comp plan that has been in process for this long.
Stanley?
Yes, I think that we all agree to a certain point and we disagree on many points. But the small town feel is what everyone moves here for. There was some property that was mentioned on the outskirts of town at the, I guess, the gateway you would call it, the Catoctin Circle there. If you were to develop that, it would not be suitable for a hotel. When you enter into a town, you want to get a soft feel. Like when you go from the west or the east to the west, going through St. Louis, you see the arc. When you're going from San Francisco to Oakland, you go across the Golden Gate Bridge. Those properties that Mary Lynn mentioned could be used for something on the line of a tourist center or a small museum that introduces people to Purcellville on a small town basis. And then from there into the town and get the feel of the small businesses, the mom and pop stores, the arts center, the fireman's field for historical purposes, and not build a 6-story condo on 21st Street that would block off all the traffic and create more traffic. Thank you.
Aaron?
I mean, small town feel is why my husband and I decided to raise our 2 young girls here. We love this small town. We love the small town charm, loving walking to the mom and pop shops and where everybody knows your name and you order the same things and everybody is just very friendly. And that's why we moved here from Ashburn, because we wanted that small town feel. And nobody on this call today wants it to grow, Percival to grow. Nobody wants it to be in Ashburn or even a Leesburg. We want it to be our small town, and that's the way we want to keep it. But we need to look at our bills as well and need to have them paid. So we need to look within our town and what we can do to boost our commercial base, to get our bills paid, and also keep it a livable small town that we love and why we all moved here.
Mary Jane?
Another point we all agree on, it is great to see agreement. The idea that, yes, we did move here for a small town. Okay, so I came up from Charlottesville and then Leesburg to finally Purcellville. The idea that we do need, and I like Stan's idea, the idea of a tourist center where we can show the history and what we have, but then we really could spotlight the mom and pop stores. What could we bring into some of those vacant stores on 21st Street, you know, now that Lucky China's gone, so forth. What can we bring in that people want with it? And with Beverly's point about a hotel, maybe she's meaning a bed and breakfast. Maybe she's not meaning a huge super chain hotel, but the idea of what my students would call a boutique hotel or a theme hotel. So we do need probably places, if we want partnerships with wineries, small. Again, keep it small town. And one of the big points that we brought up before, and I think Aaron brought this up, the walkability. We need to focus on making it completely walkable so that you feel safe going into the stores, walking down towards Harris Teeter, so forth with it.
Okay. Christopher?
Okay, thank you. We are definitely all in agreement that we came here for the small town feel. One of the ways that we put into writing what that looks like is the comprehensive plan. It's basically the citizens' vision of what this town should be. And so I'm excited to see the comp plan revisions moving forward. In terms of helping to make it an even better small town, I too would like to see the vacant stores taken out of circulation. We've long had a bit of a duopoly in terms of the landlordship for commercial property in this town. It's changing, but slowly. I think perhaps a tax on storefronts that have remained vacant for too long might be an interesting avenue approach. And I'd also like to quickly address the canard that there are no properties that are up for or potentially can be annexed surrounding Purcellville. All of the vacant land around Purcellville can be annexed. Once a property has come up for annexation, after a year, they can bring it up for annexation again. So we have 450 plus acres all around the town that could be annexed at any moment.
Okay, well, thank you all very much for spending time with us. I know it's been a very difficult campaign period. It's been difficult to get out there and meet folks. So hopefully this helps a little bit. Hopefully somebody learned something tonight. And hopefully you will, over the next few weeks, be free to get out there and visit some more with the voters. So we look forward to that. This video will be available online. Hopefully it's a resource for folks. And we're all hoping for record turnout on June 4th, even if they come in envelopes through absentee ballots. But we'd like to see a great turnout, great participation in the town and going forward. So we're going to close the arguments. Final comments, 2 minutes, up to 2 minutes. You don't have to take the full time, but we'll start with Bev.
All right. Many thanks for this opportunity tonight. It's been a great time talking with everybody and hearing everybody's suggestions. We are so fortunate to be living in such a wonderful little town. We enjoy many of the benefits Percival has, but we also have sacrifices, the commute, the cost of utilities, or just not even having a movie theater in town sometimes for a family. However, at the end of the day, it's certainly all worth it. We have clean water, we have first responders, we have schools and businesses all within a mile from us. As we digest the impacts of the COVID-19 on our revenues, we will need to continue to look at all opportunities to reduce our cost without sacrificing the health and safety and welfare of our town. We have spent a tremendous amount of funds over the past 3 years that didn't need to happen, and it won't happen again on my watch. As your mayor, I will continue to explore all opportunities that will provide a positive return on investment. When I was on council, we implemented several of the revenue generating things, such as putting the cell tower antennas on the water tower, timbering, just to name a few. As I did before, I will make the hard choices, but the right decisions for our small town to make sure it remains viable, beautiful, and a place for community gatherings. As a small step, I will donate my mayor's stipend back to the town so it can be used for community events that are so very important to our town and to our business communities. I was fortunate to receive the love of Purcellville from my mom and the fear of wasting taxpayer dollars from my dad. Those two traits I will bring to you as mayor. Thank you for your participation in the election process and for asking questions and for expressing concerns. I hope I have earned your trust and I hope you earned your vote for Mayor Percival. And please continue to shop and eat in Percival. Thank you.
Mayor Fraser?
Okay, thank you again, Loudoun Now, for putting on this election forum. Thank you, citizens of Percival. Thank you for going through with us this battle against the COVID-19 crisis. And we commend you for being strong and committed to fighting hand in hand with us. Thank you for your trust over the past 6 years in first electing me as mayor 6 years ago and continuing to elect me for 3 terms and hopefully for a 4th term. Going forward, you have again my trust and commitment and determination to move forward in keeping our small town Percival and also grow in prosperity. I would continue with our strategy for innovative solutions, infrastructure improvement, low taxes, and other improvement that you would need for us to be able to preserve this town of Percival for what it is. Whatever is built in Percival should be worthy of renovation or restoration 50 years from now. My opponents fail to tell you what their plans are. They tell you what the goal is, but they are not positioning as to what they would plan to get us there. It's either monetization of asset, which they do not agree with. It's either annexation, which they claim they do not agree with, or it's even raising your taxes substantially, which they are numb on. So what you get from me is what I say tonight, that you continue to have my commitment, that there'll be no annexation for high residential growth that will impact adversely our resources, our natural resources, or our transportation infrastructure. And that is a promise. Over the past 6 years, I was able, with council, to reduce our debt by $7.6 million, $2 million in debt saving from refinancing, and $10.4 million to reducing our ballooning payments. My opponent claims that the town manager said 3.5 million. Well, our town manager is wrong by 2.1 million. Thank you. I look forward to your vote on June the 4th.
Okay, Stanley?
Thank you, Town of Percival, for allowing me to enter your home during this COVID-19 crisis. I would love to come and sit and talk to you face to face so we can banter back and forth ideas and philosophies. I'm running for town council because I want to be the voice of the people. I joined the military to be the voice to protect those that couldn't protect themselves. I did the same when I was a policeman, protecting those that cannot protect themselves. And those that do not have a voice, I will be your voice once I'm on council. I came here for the small town feel. I want to maintain that small town feel. I have 3 grandchildren that moved here, and we want them to grow up in this environment. There's a lot of discussion on annexation, no annexation, going back down memory lane of things that happened in the past. We have to move forward with innovative solutions, lower taxes, slow growth, and infrastructure improvement. This is what our team is about. We've had plans, we have ideas, and we work as a team. Mayor Kwesi, Mary Jane Williams, and Christopher Bartow, and myself will fulfill those goals and dreams that the people of Percival want. Thank you.
Aaron?
I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak with you tonight. I just want to let the people of Percival know, if you elect me, I will show up. I know there's a lot of hard decisions to be made, but I will show up. I'll make these hard decisions and put Percival first. There's a lot of debt that needs to be dealt with in our finances. And I have a lot of ideas with economic development that I would really like to bring to this town. I would love to bring in a dedicated economic development professional to really focus in on that and bring in businesses that fit our culture and our town perfectly to really bolster our commercial base, which will in turn bring up our tax base and ease the tax burden of the residential people of the town. Because when businesses are successful, our town will be successful. And that's what I promised to do for Percival. And I also wanted to give a shout out to all the hardworking moms and dads out there who are at home right now with their kids, trying to homeschool, work, and also run their household. We're with you, I'm with you, trying to do the same thing, and we support you. And if you ever need anything, please reach out. We're here for you. And God bless, and I hope you vote for me on June 4th.
Mary Jane?
Thank you for spending the past hour with us. You've heard multiple comments, multiple solutions to the various issues. Your job as a voter is to weigh the information you received tonight and make a well-informed decision on your ballot. As a team, we strive to help the residents of Purcellville to have their voices heard. Reach out. Let us know your concerns. I promise to listen and work to the best of my ability to maintain the charm associated with Purcellville. We want economic growth, low taxes, innovative solutions to our issues, and an improved infrastructure. We promise to work as a team without any hidden agendas. Please vote for Fraser, Berteau, Milan, and Williams on June 4th. Thank you, and remember to stay safe, healthy, and practice social distancing. Have a good evening.
Christopher?
Big thank you to our host, and thank you to everyone who's watching us online. Really appreciate your putting in the time to wrestle with the issues as we have here in this candidates forum tonight. I had to do a bit of soul searching before I decided to run for town council. If I win, I will spend more time away from my family. I'm running, however, with Kwesi Fraser, Stan Milan, and Mary Jane Williams because I believe our shared values work to help make Purcellville an even better place to live. I believe our platform is based on both proven solutions and a willingness to try new things to solve current problems and to keep and improve upon Purcellville's well-deserved reputation as a wonderful small town. I want a town government that works for all its citizens. I've been fortunate to have served on Purcellville's Economic Development Advisory Committee, helped develop new sources of revenue and new recreation opportunities for our citizens that don't rely on raising taxes or annexing additional property. I've also been blessed to serve on the board of my local HOA and to hear the concerns and issues that confront my immediate neighbors. I love the small town atmosphere of Percival and know that my neighbors do as well. I'm asking for your vote on June 4th for myself and for the rest of our team because I believe the voters will be best served with our team as your representatives in town government. Thank you.
Mary Lynn?
Great. I will close the same way I started, thanking Loudoun Now for this really great opportunity. And I hope that the citizens who are watching live now, as well as those of you who will between now and when you cast your vote, will feel that this forum has provided you with some very helpful information as a voter. We're at a pretty serious inflection point here in the town of Purcellville, and it is really critical that we make the long-term sustainability of our town's operations and finances our highest priority, and be willing to exercise the kind of really true leadership to make tough decisions that ensure that outcome. What you've heard here tonight, it really underscores that there's lots of diverse opinions about what the best way is to address our issues and our challenges. From my own perspective, the highest priority has to be restoring that stable and sustainable foothold. And for the town finances in general and the water sewer utility in particular, the consultants aren't kidding when they say, and it's actually 2 years, not 3, that they are projecting insolvency if we don't do something. The bottom line is that revenue has to cover expenses, and I don't want the town to continue tapping reserves to cover the spread, as is the case for the FY 2021 short-term budget, or to incur more debt, or by refinancing existing debt. And I'd also like our town manager to feel more empowered to tell the town council when we're headed off the tracks, because that is his job to do that. And he should be able to do that without hesitation or reservation, and certainly not from any fear of reprisal. I am well prepared to serve the citizens of Purcellville by virtue of my background and my skills and my experience and the learning curve that I have invested in around 10 issues for over 2 years now. And I'm ready to show up on day one and hit the ground running. Thanks for listening, and please check out my campaign page on Facebook for more information about me, my positions, or to message me directly if you like. And another reminder to everyone, since I'm the closer, I believe, request that absentee ballot if you haven't already by Thursday, May 28th. And the last day to cast your absentee ballot in person at the Board of Elections in Leesburg is Saturday, May 30. They will be there between 8:30 and 5 that day. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all for your time tonight. Thank you for
Thank you.
your willingness to serve. We will see you on election day. I suspect we will see you before election day. So good luck on the campaign trail. And Purcellville is lucky to have people standing up and willing to serve. So thank you all very much and good
Thank you,
night.
Norm. Thank you, Norm. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
It's good.